Hello, and welcome to another episode of Daswolfen's Den. I am your host, Daswolfen, and I'd like to thank you all for joining me today. I'd like to say hello to Christian. He was first here today. Hope you had a good holiday. Hey, Ariel, welcome. Today I will be covering the last two Heisei era Godzilla movies, specifically Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla and Godzilla vs. Destoroyah. And I'll also be touching on the TV series Godzilla Island, which you can now watch on YouTube on the official Toho channel. They have all the episodes translated with subtitles. So it's an interesting watch. But that's where I'm going to start. Good to see you guys. Thank you for joining me. I guess we'll pick it up with, as in the previous episodes, I did all the Heisei era movies, which was Return of Godzilla, Godzilla vs. Biollante versus King Ghidorah versus Mothra, and Mechagodzilla 2. And that took us up to 1995 in the timeline. And specifically, we're going to be talking about Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla first. And I have to find my button. I don't have a button for it. Okay, I feel like an idiot now. So, yeah, here is the slideshow. And it should start. There we go. Sorry. Technical difficulties, as usual. It's not me without technical difficulties. So this is the slideshow for Godzilla vs. SpaceGodzilla. This takes place in 95. It's a year after Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2, when Super Mechagodzilla got beat. The United Nations Godzilla Countermeasure Center is working on two programs to try and deal with Godzilla. The first one is Mogira, which is basically they took what was left of Mechagodzilla 2 and built this new mecha called the Mobile Operations Godzilla Universal Expert Robot Aerotype that splits into two vehicles, Land Mogira and Star Falcon, which is a ship kind of like the Ghidorah. The other thing that they're working on is called Project Telepathy. Basically, they want to put a telepathic amplifier on the back of Godzilla's head and hopefully control him with psychic abilities. And that takes place. Miki Sugusa was asked to head that up. And she is the sister of... the sister of one of the people killed in Godzilla vs. Mechagodzilla 2. Recruited her. Anyway, so they built this, and this is where we're introduced to Little Godzilla, which is the Heisei era version of Minya, but you can see instead of looking like the Pillsbury Doughboy, Little Godzilla looks like a miniature version of Godzilla, although chibi-like. I think so. Yeah, I think she was in Godzilla vs. Biollante. And that's Fairy Mothra that you're seeing. That after Mothra took off to go have her adventures in space with the Rebirth of Mothra movies. she sent the her little fairy Mothras out, and one of them comes to Earth, of course. And she anyway, when Mothra's out, because if I haven't covered the Godzilla versus the Mothra Rebirth movies, and I will probably in another video. I'll finish up the Heisei era because I also want to touch on the Gamera movies. Basically, Mothra goes out into space to try and stop this meteorite that's going to wipe out all Earth, all life on Earth, but she senses SpaceGodzilla, so she sends Fairy Mothra to Earth, who meets up with Miki and convinces her to join the Project T. And so they're setting up for dealing with Godzilla, and of course they've got baby Godzilla they're dealing with, and so they actually, if you'll excuse me, I just got an important message from my girlfriend, and I need to deal with that, so I will take care of that and be right back. I apologize. Anyway, sorry about that, and I need to back this up because unfortunately I was about there. I had a message from my girlfriend. Her little grandbaby's sick, so she was telling me. So I apologize for that. See that's a bright orange outfit there. But basically, to pick up where we left off, this is called Birth Island. That's where they have baby Godzilla, and they're checking the traps they've set up for Godzilla. They're gonna try to shoot a coagulant into Godzilla that's supposed to like solidify his blood. And so Godzilla comes ashore. So they're trying to get the telepathic thing in the back of his head. As he comes to shore here. Yeah, let's see, what did I miss? No, I don't think he's not. That's not the same one that was killed. I don't think. Yeah, he's the one trying to shoot the coagulant into. That's Yuki, I think. But yeah, let's see. Anyway, he's coming to shore. They're going to shoot the telepathic thing in the back of his head. Yeah, there's Yuki trying to shoot the anti-coagulant bullet into him. Well, the Shin Godzilla thing is a different timeline. See, the Godzilla movies are split up by eras. The Showa era stuff uh, takes place up until 1989. They're based on the eras are named after the reign of the emperor. Yeah, that's correct. That's the weak spot. But so the events that happened in the Showa era really don't have any, except for the original Godzilla movie, have nothing to do with the Heisei era. The same way the millennial movies have nothing to do with the Heisei era or the originals, except the original movie. And the Shin Godzilla timeline is a little different. It's a little odd. Uh, it takes place. It's in the same world as the original movie, but none of the other movies are part of it. But Godzilla Minus One is actually a prequel to the first Godzilla movie, if that makes sense. So that whole Showa or the whole Shin Godzilla timeline is different than the traditional timeline. Anyway, so they've shot the mind control device on the Godzilla, and she starts to try and control him, but she passes out. And she puts that machine that's supposed to amplify her T waves, and that knocks her out because Godzilla's going to fight it, and that's what's going to knock her out. Yeah, I'm completely lost where we are. That's not unusual. Oh, this is the appearance of Space Godzilla. That crystal thing that Mogira fought a little earlier. And of course, he's facing off with little Godzilla. And I haven't figured out whether it's mommy or daddy is going to rescue, come to little Godzilla's rescue. Obviously, that pisses off Godzilla. So Godzilla goes and flies off after a little scuffle with Godzilla, and um, I believe he's going to head to Japan after that. Hey Tim, welcome. Yeah, no, baby Godzilla's cute. Little Godzilla's cute. I mean, not as cute as Minya was. Minya was adorable, but so Space Godzilla's flown off. They're considering the Project Tia failure. So um They're going, oh, this is the meeting that where they're trying to just explain the difference between Space Godzilla and regular Godzilla. Soft spot for this era. Yeah, the Heisei era was good. I mean, my soft spot's always going to be the Showa era because those are the ones I grew up watching. Um, the Millennial era was just nuts. There's Fairy Mothra talking with Miki again. Um, but yeah, the Millennial era was just nuts. Some of the stuff that they did, especially Final Wars. Final Wars was just awesome. Um, it was like, let's throw everything in this movie and call it nuts, and they did that. But I'll cover that when I do the uh, start on the Millennial era after I do the Gamera movies and the Mothra movies. Yeah, well, I my first Godzilla movie was in 1971. I was 1 year old, and my parents went to see Godzilla versus Smog Monster, and uh, they said that I just stood there in rapture, just watching. Stood up in the seat, just watching the movie and not saying a word, not making a sound. And used to joke that I imprinted on Godzilla when I was young. So, so that's my first uh, encounter with Godzilla. And then in the 80s, in the late 70s, early 80s, the local, well, not local, closest local to me is the Kansas City area. And out of Kansas City, there was KCTV 5. And they used to have Monster Week on it. I would rush home from school because they would show Godzilla movies during Monster Week. And they have Monster Week like every few months, and boom, I was home. And then as I got a little older, we're talking 81, 82. Uh, I had my own TV in my room, and I would stay up on the weekends and watch. They had like a creature feature thing every weekend, and they would have Godzilla movies a lot. So I would that's why I'm partial to the Showa era, because those were the Godzillas I grew up with. Um, and the millennial or the Heisei eras are fine. They are in Fukuoka this time, which is, let me see if I can look up, see where it is. It's the capital city of the Fukuoka prefecture, and is in the northern shore of the island of Kaiju. That's where Rodan took place. Also, Gamera Guardian of the Universe takes place there too. Yeah, yeah. You got to give them a few minutes to rebuild there. I mean, they're really quick. If you're going to invest in anything, invest in Japanese construction companies, because they're always in demand. Yeah, I can understand that, Tim. It for They did get a bit silly, but that's what I enjoyed. I mean, the whole Godzilla tail slide maneuver is just awesome. There was that one, I'm trying to remember which one it was, where they actually talked. They like put voices in mixed in with their actual sound, and like Anguirus sounded Jewish. like an old Jewish man. So it was a bit weird, but yeah, of course here we got Big G coming in, and Megira's the humans. They get a little confused about whether Godzilla's a good guy or bad guy sometimes, but 2245. Was that Gigan? Okay. That would make sense. That's one of the weaker ones, but uh, and you can see the what they used from Mechagodzilla 2 to help build Mogira. Yeah, I haven't seen that onion joke, Tim. I'll have to look for that. But as much as I like the Showa era design, I think the Heisei era Godzilla is a little better. But honestly, I love the Millennial era Godzilla, or the Millennial, not the Millennial, the legendary MonsterVerse version of Godzilla. It just the bulked up. Um, oh, it's from the Indian newspaper. Okay. But yeah, but I like the way that Legendary has done it. The special effects are great, and some of the storylines are weak, but I like all the Legendary Godzilla movies. Then again, I like a lot of stuff. Easy to please. But anyway, so you get Godzilla versus Space Godzilla going on here, and Godzilla getting knocked around. That's the way it usually works. And he's kind of like built the Fortress of Solitude there uh, around that building set. So yeah, the monocle. Although I gotta admit, the I really love what they did with Godzilla Minus One's breath. If you haven't seen Godzilla Minus One, go see it. You've got a few days left before it's taken out of the theaters here in the U.S. But man, instead of just a fire breath, it was it shoots, it hits the beam, and then a nuclear explosion happens where it hits. It's just cool. It's like boom, mushroom cloud. It's just, but the whole movie, the whole Godzilla versus or Godzilla Minus One is an excellent movie. And unlike the weakness of the legendary MonsterVerse movies, um, is that they really drop the ball when dealing with the human storylines. Whereas the storylines of Godzilla Minus One, the human part, is you could actually take Godzilla out of the movie and you would still have a good story. Yeah, I'm sorry about that, Ariel. I know you've been sick, and I understand not having money. Um, I haven't. I don't get to go to all the movies I want right now, but that changes because I start working here in a couple of weeks. Oh, that reminds me. Before I forget, uh, I have shows scheduled all the way up until the 6th of uh, of January for this this time frame. But I start work on the 16th. So I'm going to be taking some time off. Specifically on the 28th, or the 28th is a special show. I'm doing the Expanse after Joe's Atmosphere's show with his brother. The Brothers Hack the Matrix. So at 8 o'clock, I'm going to be doing that. I'm going to be playing the Expanse. Start playing that, and that is actually going to be, I believe, 8 o'clock. But next Tuesday on the 2nd, I'm with Jed, and we're covering what's been going on in Monarch, For All Mankind, and the Doctor Who movies, since we've got all 4 of them out now. And then on the 9th, I'm going back and playing some more Bully. But after that, after the 16th, I will be actually moving to an evening schedule. I don't know what it's going to be, or I may switch days, because I'm also going to be moving my game day that I do on Pop Culture Minefield to an evening. I'll be doing shows in the evening too. I just have to, because I've gone back to back to school, and I'm taking classes, so I have to. That starts January 1st, so I need to balance all that with classes and work. So I've got to. There might be a little time before I start streaming again, but when I pick it back up, I will do the Gamera movies for the Heisei era, and I will do the. I'll probably just do all the Gamera together, and then do the Rebirth of Mothra movies along with it. So yeah, so that's going to be a change in the schedule. Sorry about that, but I got to work, so I really miss working. I've been out with my back for so long. I'm just happy to get back to work. But I'm going back to my old job, basically. Different title. Basically, I have a step up, but yeah, Mogera was definitely stronger than Mechagodzilla in the Heisei era, especially because it could split into Land Mogera and Space Falcon. So it had a space fighter complement to it that Mechagodzilla didn't have access to. The really good Mechagodzilla is, of course, the one from the Millennial era, with the shoulder cannons. That's the most powerful Mechagodzilla. And the Mechagodzilla that they built in Millennial era, not so much. I mean, that was technically a Mecha Gigan, or Mecha Gigan, Mecha Ghidorah, or Ghidorah. Because that's what they used. That's the skull that they used for. They used 2 of the skulls from King Ghidorah, even though they put it in a Godzilla-like body. But anyway, that's. Sorry, I'm getting distracted from what's going on here. Yeah, so they've. Let's see. Mogera's gotten beat up by SpaceGodzilla. This is the end. Okay, yeah. So basically, Godzilla's or Mogera's destroyed. Godzilla's beaten SpaceGodzilla by draining his power. And baby Godzilla grows up. Starts trying to breathe fire. So yeah, that takes us to the end of Godzilla versus SpaceGodzilla. Yeah, we did talk about other things. I'm sorry about that. But this should go right directly into the final movie of the Heisei era, and that is obviously Godzilla's uh, biggest challenge, and that's Godzilla versus Destoroyah. This takes place a year after Godzilla versus SpaceGodzilla. Basically, they find out that Birth Island's been destroyed. They don't know why, and they don't know where little Godzilla went. But Godzilla shows up and he's got these burning rashes on him. But he actually shows up in Hong Kong. And so he starts taking out Hong Kong. And so yeah, so it's not take place in Japan like the others. Yeah, I know he's Godzilla Junior. I was going to I wasn't gonna. Actually, I'm not sure. Well, Godzilla is. It could be a cell from Biolante because if you remember, Biolante was plant matter, a plant version of basically plant and Godzilla DNA mixed. So I don't think it's a cell that came off Mothra. Actually, the time frame works. Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, that I know that's not really Ariel, but that does kind of work. But anyway, this college student here is the grandson of Dr. Yamane from the original Godzilla movie. But basically, they think that Godzilla's going to explode because his radioactivity's out of control, and they think it'll take the rest of the world with it. So G-Force, which is back in this movie, is going to release the Super 13 to try and deal with it. Now it's going to be outfitted with something they call anti-nuclear cold weapons to try and shut down his impending explosion. So there's a lot of science stuff going on here that I'm kind of lost in. It's been a while since I've seen this, unfortunately. I didn't. I should have watched it to refresh myself, but I'm thinking, oh, I know these movies. But I've really forgotten a lot of stuff. And there's the Americans. But so yeah, here is the I believe that's the arrival of Destoroyah. And they find out that that Destoroyah is yeah, I guess it is Super X3. I just made it Super 13 because when you read it in when you read it in subtitles, it's Super X I. So yeah, it would be Super 3, but automatically go to uh, the Roman numeral notation. But yeah, it's X3 makes more sense because of X2. Yeah, and well, the uh, uh, the whole thing with Destoroyah is he actually is tied to the oxygen destroyer, which basically the it mutated some Precambrian life forms that were in the ocean there that they didn't know about, and that's how you get Godzilla versus Godzilla. You get the Destroyer. Yeah, it's it's another part Godzilla, but there's its mutation, and it but the Destroyer was mutated from by the Oxygen Destroyer, and that's where its connection is. Whether it was cells or something. There's the classic miniature work. So yeah, problem is it's hard to tell where they are just from some of these. I didn't do a good job with these slideshows because I just basically put it in VLC and let it take frames every so often. Um, and it doesn't help it didn't pull the side the yeah, that's true. I never thought about that. It's every monster has at least more than one form. Because Space Godzilla has his crystal flying form. Uh, Destroyer's got his alternate form. The Violante has multiple forms. Yeah, they're dealing with Destroyer. You're right. That is excuse me, my throat. But yeah, there's Destroyer. Yeah, it is kind of like a xenomorph. It's definitely an ugly looking monster, that's for sure. So, but basically, they're going to use Miki to try and lure Godzilla Jr. to fight the Destoroyahs. And yeah, there's a bunch of Destoroyahs at this time. Yeah. But there you see Mickey. So basically they're trying to use uh, Godzilla Jr. to take out the Destoroyahs. And of course they don't want regular Godzilla to show up, but he's following his son. And because of the fight he has with Super X3, he's going to completely not explode and now melt down until he reaches the core of the Earth and the Earth goes boom. Well, he's about to fight the X3, Super X3. So yeah, there's the X3 looking very much like a the thing I like about the miniatures is they remind me a lot of the miniatures from uh, the Thunderbirds Supermarination stuff. No, it doesn't. Eric got hit with the cold weapons there. That's just going to piss him off. Mankind never learns. Instead of trying to fight Godzilla, you just get out of his way, let him do what he needs to do, and let him go on. But yeah, that's so. I believe this is where Godzilla Jr. will show up here in a minute, I think. Trying to remember where we are. But anyway, Godzilla shows up. They fight. Destoroyah finally shows up in his full form, which is the giant hulking. Yeah, here comes little Godzilla Jr. Yeah, there's Godzilla Jr. looking very much like the classic Godzilla. There's a lot of human story in this. That a lot of exposition and stuff that takes place. But anyway, so Junior's going to come deal with the Destroyer. And of course, the SDF is or no, SDF is Robotech. The Japanese the Japanese Defense Force. They got the maser weapons and stuff, and they're ineffectual as usual in dealing with Godzilla. and of course the yeah, destroy a xenomorph. Well, that's the thing is they're yeah. See, there's destroys when it destroys xenomorph. I don't know if it's really a xenomorph. Yeah, yeah. It's they make a single entity. But here comes Godzilla Jr. And he is more hunched. I agree. You think the Japanese people would be used to giant monsters by now? But Godzilla Jr. definitely has more of a closer to the Showa era Godzilla look than the Heisei era Godzilla looked. So anyway, the Destoroyah and Godzilla Jr. fight, but Godzilla takes it out, but um, he's obviously going to be wounded, and then of course he's hurt bad, and then finally he'll meet up with his dad or mom. They never explain. And here comes Big G. And he won't be happy with what's gone on with his son. I don't know. Has he dropped him, hit him with the? I don't think he's hit little G with the oxygen destroyer breath weapon yet. I think the in the show where Godzilla basically adopts the younger one and isn't really his child. Well, the thing is, it's you've got to look at the different uh the Showa era is different from the Heisei because um they all take place after the 54 Godzilla, but then the timelines break off. So the Showa era Minya is different than Little Godzilla. Um, so you really can't consider them as part of the same timeline or even the same universe. Uh, but in the Showa era, Minya is Godzilla's offspring. In this, there is no Minya. It's instead Godzilla Jr. So let's see how this. Yeah, this is the fight in Tokyo between Godzilla and Destoroyah. It's a very pissed off Godzilla. If you want to get this as a toy, it's called Burning Godzilla. Well, my theory is that Godzillas don't actually lay an egg, that they bud like they have asexual reproduction. So you can get cells that will become other Godzillas. It's like a kind of like how royal jelly will make a queen bee out of a regular bee as it's growing up. The Earth will make a Godzilla when it's in time of need from uh, whatever Godzilla materials around. I know it's not a very good theory. Yeah, Godzilla's not happy. His son's dead. But, of course, Destoroyah's not quite done yet. And, of course, yeah, maybe not even its Godzilla material. It may just be the Earth births the Godzilla when it needs one. And in this instance, it needed two. Yeah, he was rather smug. So they're worried about Godzilla melting down. So they're hitting him with the cold weapons, and they will stop Godzilla from melting through to the Earth. However, it is going to turn Tokyo into a radioactive ruin that's going to be uninhabitable for a very long time. And the new Godzilla arises from the ashes of Godzilla Jr., and there's still a Godzilla because the Earth has to have a protector. So yeah, that's the end of the Heisei era Godzilla. They were putting Godzilla on hiatus again, which is why you're seeing scenes from other Godzilla movies. This was supposed to be like the end of Godzilla. Um, yeah, so it's supposed to be the end of the Godzilla movies. Well, they'll come out again a few years later. They'll redo it, and that's when they'll start with the Millennial Era Godzilla. But that's a movie for another time. there's one thing left to discuss in the Godzilla era of the Heisei era, and that was a series called Godzilla Island. There were a bunch of little 3-minute shorts that tell the story of Godzilla, what's going on with the Kaiju in 2097, and basically all the monsters live on an island called Godzilla Island. And there's the G Guard, which monitors them. Godzilla, Godzilla Jr., Mothra, Rodan, King Ghidorah, King Ghidorah, Mecha Godzilla, the Heisei version. Anguirus, Gigant, Hedorah, Destoroyah, Bargon, King Caesar, Mugira, Megalon, Batra, SpaceGodzilla, Gogurosaurus, Kamacuras, and Jet Jaguar all live there. Now, this was a cool little series. It's obviously made for kids. It's a bunch of shorts, but their special effects aren't really special effects. They use the Bandai action figures for that's entirely possible, Ariel. But anyway, to go on about the Godzilla Island, they use the action figures and do stop motion with the action figures, which is it's kind of cool. And there's also Dodoran, which is the space a Dagora, rather, that was is like the space amoeba thing, if I remember right. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, or not space amoeba, space jellyfish from the movie Dagora, which wasn't a Godzilla movie. So yeah, so this, and if you want to see this Godzilla series, the little one, you can actually watch it on the actual Toho the Toho YouTube channel. Let me see. The Toho Godzilla official. There's a playlist of Godzilla Island. You can watch the animated series there. You can watch all sorts of classic stuff, but you can watch all 84 episodes of Godzilla Island if you want, and it's an interesting watch. It's, like I said, it's a little kiddified, but at least you can see some of the stuff that Japan has access to, a lot of Godzilla stuff that we don't. There's a series of novels I wish they would translate, and which they haven't as of yet. So anyway, that brings us to the end of this Godzilla Heisei era wrap up. Yeah, I've seen a couple episodes of the animated series, but again, not something I'm that interested in. It is funny in Final Wars where he basically destroys the 98 Godzilla, or Zilla. Anyway, but that we'll talk about that during when I do the Millennial movies. The next thing I'm gonna do is I'll do a kind of a Heisei era wrap up with the Gamera movies, including go all the way back to the Showa era Gamera, and I'll do the Rebirth of Godzilla movies, and I may cover like some of the other series, or some of the other Heisei era kaiju movies that Toho put out that isn't part of Godzilla. But that's going to do it for today. The very next time you'll see me is tomorrow morning on Pop Culture Minefield, where we are doing, continuing on in playing the Uncharted. It's actually technically Uncharted 4, but it's the PC release, so it but it's still Uncharted 4. So we're continuing to play that, and then tomorrow night I'll be on State of the Atmosphere on Joe Atmosphere's channel, and then Thursday morning we're back on Pop Culture Minefield with whatever Keith's doing. I think we're doing the 2023 wrap up. And then Thursday night, after, like I said, after Brothers Hectomatric on Joe's channel, I'll be back here playing The Expanse. And then Fridays back to Baldur's Gate on Pop Culture Minefield. So yeah, so that's pretty much my immediate future. Next week we'll be doing that wrap up of, or not wrap up, but catching up with what's going on with Monarch and the Doctor Who movies and stuff with Jed. And then after that, I'll play some more Bully. And then we'll go from there, and we'll see when I can fit in. So, yeah, so that's going to wrap it up for now. Thank you all for joining me. I appreciate you joining me. And if you aren't subscribed, please subscribe to this channel. And for more content, it's going to be a little slow, but once I get some more, my time figured out with between school and work and stuff, I'm going to start actually making some actual videos and maybe some actual shorts. But I'm not good at that, to be honest. But so until next time, just remember, wherever you go, there you are.